Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unwarp Reality, a podcast project designed to help us see not through, but around the looking glass. I'm Liz, a cybersecurity specialist, cultural anthropologist, and world traveler, calling in today from New York City.
And I'm Bekah, a psychologist, leadership coach, and social critic coming to you from Chicago. It's great to have you here. If you want to know more about us, you can check out the bio page on our Substack.
Oh, and by the way, we just happen to be twins. So, what are we doing here? We all know that we're inundated with messages from the media, which provide us with information about the world around us. This is one source of information that we use to construct our views of reality.
Exactly. Of course, it's just one piece of the puzzle. We also rely on our own experience and other sources, such as conversations that we might have with friends or formal education. The media has become more pervasive and present as information comes to us through television, YouTube channels, social media, and various online and print publications.
Not to mention podcasts.
So it seems like everywhere you turn, there's someone trying to tell you something about the way things are.
Yeah, exactly. But most of us know on a deep level that much of what we're exposed to is biased. Human producers and presenters necessarily introduce their own spin on things as they craft, create, and share stories. This is inevitable.
It is. But in the past, traditional, or what some have called legacy media outlets, maintained a perspective that was more objective, more oriented to sharing accurate, fact checked, and non opinion based information. In fact, it wasn't just the practice, it was the law.
Right. It was the Fairness Doctrine, which was in place from 1949 until 1987, that said that any organization with a broadcast license was required to cover controversial issues that concern the public and also to present views representing diverse opinions on those subjects. And this really meant that viewers were able to get a comprehensive understanding of many different issues, regardless of the source.
And that was important, but of course, other sources of information were available for different purposes. For example, if you just wanted entertainment, or because consumers were aware that they had a particular skew. At times, we all want to hear things that confirm or affirm our views. But it's also important that we don't get stuck in information bubbles and have access to sources that can challenge our current perspectives.
Right. And challenging our perspectives is very important to help us grow as individuals and also to be able to interact with each other as a society. But what we've seen over time is that legacy outlets like New York Times, our network news, or CNN have begun to shift away from objective presentation with a slight bias to heavily pushing their own agendas. And we here are not media historians or experts on the exact causes of these shifts. But some of the factors that are discussed a lot include rising prominence of some right leaning sources, such as Fox News, and the need to cater to a more targeted readership for financial incentives, for instance.
Yeah, and lots of people have discussed that topic. For example, in the book Bad News, which is well worth a read, as the reasons are multiple and commingled. But whatever the specific causes, today most legacy media sources have given up their role in objectivity and have become biased presenters of stories, selecting, highlighting, and coloring their reporting to support a largely woke, left-leaning agenda.
Yeah, and it's become a real problem. So just to clarify here, we don't see this as a problem because we, Liz and Bekah, want them to instead push a right-wing agenda. We're in fact lifelong liberals in the classic definition and have historically voted with the Democrats. However, like many people today, we are finding it harder and harder to support the positions of either of the main parties.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. But to get back to the media, we find the current situation concerning because when biases and bespoke agendas dictate reporting, our view of the world we live in becomes less accurate. And this is not without consequence, as such manipulation impairs individual decision making, political choice, and even mental well being. It is helping to create discontent in America and disrupt social cohesion.
Yeah, and it's also part of the reason why a lot of politicians seem to be so disconnected from what real people seem to want. If we only get our news from these mainstream sources or selectively seek out what reinforces our opinions, we can no longer see reality for what it is. We're stuck in an information bubble that warps our reality.
And warped reality takes work to break out of. So that's what we're trying to do here. Our goal is not to tell anyone how to think or what to believe. But having been caught in these bubbles ourselves, we want to help others in their quest to unwarp reality.
Exactly. And so to do that, our discussions will review some ways that media messages demonstrate this bias, both in what gets reported and also how that reporting takes place. And we'll delve into some specifics as we go forward.
Right. And we also want to help highlight the way that biased reporting is designed to create strong emotional responses, something that impairs rationality and information processing, helping to gain buy in for the individual, organizational, or ideological agenda of the author, editors, or organization presenting the information.
Yeah. So until the media changes their tactics, something for which we should not be holding our breath, the onus is on us to be smart about how we consume their products. While media narratives often seek to answer questions for the readers about who's right, who's wrong, and what conclusions you should draw, our purpose here is to focus on how to look past this, how to disrupt that warping of reality that permeates our information exchanges.
Yeah, and because the barrage of bias seemingly never stops, we need practice. The more we practice, the better equipped we are to identify the manipulation when it happens and to avoid being taken in. Our hope is that this awareness will be a benefit to our listeners.
And it should even help when you're listening to us. So that concludes our brief intro to what this podcast is going to be about. So please stay tuned for new episodes that will be coming soon.
Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoy joining us in our attempt to unwarp reality. Bye.
Bye.